Hey guys, it's your girl Aspen, my girl 26. Welcome back to the channel. So I was using my camera a few minutes ago um, to shoot the first part of this video. I'm actually preparing some dinner right now. We've got some squash and zucchini over here cooking, and I'm getting ready to fry some pork chops. So I just got to get that. I probably should have gotten one a little bit larger, but the chops aren't that big, so I'm not really necessarily worried about that. Flour in here. Now I've already seasoned the pork chops and got them good and washed. I did that using my camera. So this one's going to go straight to my channel. I'll probably I'll try to add the other sequence, but then again, everybody knows how to wash, or at least they should know how to wash meat and season it. So this is pretty much just the rest of the cooking process. And I'm not going to film the whole thing, but film enough, just so that you guys will kind of be able to see really what I'm doing. And because tonight is Monday Night Football, so I'm trying to be tuned into the game while I'm cooking. So I got my little thing here to keep everything from popping, all the grease and stuff from popping up, because I am frying. You're probably saying, why I'm not using an air fryer? Well, to me, pork chops are better tasting, or they're better when you fry them in a cast iron skillet, which is what I'm using right here. I'm actually going to tilt you guys down a bit so you guys can kind of see what I'm going to be doing. Make sure the phone doesn't fall over. It's on this. There we go. All right, so my fire is kind of right around 5, so I'm going to start dipping these smaller ones in here. Actually, I'm going to grab, I have these gloves, these clear gloves, and I'm going to actually use a couple of these tonight. It just prevents cross-contamination. That way, when I'm actually having to pick up the meat, I'll use my gloved hand versus using my actual bare hands. It's actually better for food preparation. Oh yeah, this is sticking really, really good. So. And I'm doing the smaller ones first. To kind of get those going. Frying pork chops doesn't take a whole lot of time. That's one of the reasons why I chose to do them. I would have had this done earlier today, but I got busy doing other stuff, work stuff, and then I was trying to do a little house cleaning around the house. I have this king size box spring I was supposed to put together earlier today that I didn't get a chance to do. So hopefully I can have some time tomorrow to get it done, because I need to get it put on my bed, because right now it takes me a minute to get out the bed. I was hoping not to make a mess. During this process. But nonetheless, it's just flour. When I'm in my new house, cooking would be a lot easier, and it'd be a lot easier for me to do these videos too. Because I will, let me get my behind. I just kind of put this cover over it just to kind of keep from the grease popping so much. And I just made a mess of myself with that. Let me get something to clean that up with. Yeah, normally I'm not this messy when it comes to cooking. I don't know what's going on tonight. I guess I'm kind of in a rush to get it done because I'm a little bit behind. It's already 7 o'clock and I had meant to have this done earlier today, but I was trying to knock out some housework, some needed housework, and I just didn't get a chance to get everything done that I would have liked to have gotten done. So that's cooking. While that's done, while that's cooking, I'm gonna move this out the way so you guys can probably see the squash. Zoom in. Oh, that's right. You can't zoom in. Well, you can kind of see I'm cooking the squash over here. As a matter of fact, let me get my other little doohickey over here. Move these rags out the way. There we go. And I'm going to check on this. Yeah, I think I added a little too much water, but it'll eventually cook down. I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning. I'm cooking this with this Caribbean seasoning right over here. Let me reach around. So this is Mrs. Dash Caribbean Citrus. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going to add a little bit. I need to add a little bit of salt. A little sea salt. And then I also, when I'm cooking my squash and zucchini, I also add a little bit of sugar because for those of you all that may or may not know, but squash is kind of bitter if you are actually cooking it by itself. So that's why I typically add that additional ingredient. Okay, let me put this over here. I think I got enough flour. Enough over here. Let me move this candle. Got my little candle going. And for my pork chops, basically what I used is some onion powder and Lawry's seasoning salt. Hopefully you guys can see that. So that's what I used on the pork chops tonight. And I decided to cook them again. So as a matter of fact, while these are cooking, I'm going to get me a glass of wine. Got my handy dandy glass. Check out the saying, guys. Yeah, I got to be be dramatic first, right? Isn't that us ladies? And I'll be drinking on Gallo Family Red Moscato. This is really good. It's not too sweet, and it's not too dry. So it's Moscato. So you can draw an inference from that. Just a little something while I'm cooking. Oh yeah, delish. So I got a lot going on. Put my water away. So how many of you guys out there have a water app on your phone where you're tracking your water content on a daily basis. I haven't really been doing too good these last couple of weeks, primarily because I have been my water bottle. I didn't take the time to. So we don't want to do that. So we want to keep the money flowing, and I need the VA to go ahead and handle this claim in less than 8 months, because that's going to be the amount of time that it's going to take for my house to be built, and I need to get that homestead, and I need that 100%. So we claiming the 100%. So let me check, see what these chops is doing. Okay, so they're starting to brown a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and turn them over. Nice and golden brown. And then over here, I'm going to start adding a little bit, well actually, yeah, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar. And actually, I probably should have got another bag of sugar, but this is more than enough to do what I need to do today. Oh, I forgot I had a little scoop in there. And y'all probably wonder, why the world is she adding sugar? And that's because the squash is normally bitter. So this kind of gives it a little bit, it takes the tartness it takes the tartness out of it. And I added a little too much water to this, but it'll eventually start to cook down. So I just kind of turn it, mixing up both the zucchini and the squash together. Yeah, it's a little too much water. I may have to drain some of this water out. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much, you know, everything. It won't take long, because I only got 5. Only got 5 more chops to go, and I think I can probably get about 4. These are more the thicker ones, so I might only be able to get 3, maybe 4, all of them in here. Once these finish. Okay. So yeah, so what are y'all cooking for dinner tonight? Do y'all meal prep your meals to make it easier? Oh, did y'all see my apron? Real Housewives of Alabama. Yeah, you know, your girl had to do it. I actually got this at a place called Buc-ee's. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's like a gas station kind of, like literally buy whatever. And they've got one in Leeds, Alabama. And I think they're getting ready to build another one. I've been seeing all kinds of help wanted signs for Buc-ee's up here near North Alabama. So I think they're getting ready to put one possibly in either Athens or in Decatur, which is right off of 565. So if you come to the Huntsville area or you're on your way to Nashville, you'll definitely probably end up seeing the construction. I don't know where it's going to be because I haven't seen any major construction in the area. So I'm kind of wondering myself exactly where they plan on putting it. But I guess eventually, you know, it'll show up on the news, which I don't really watch the news. I must honestly say I don't watch my local news unless, you know, it's like bad weather or something like that. And I probably need to start doing it. But, you know, it's just after working all day long, I'm mainly in the Sports Center or NFL Network or watching a game replay. I don't spend a whole lot of time doing that. One of the things I do plan on doing, actually, you'll probably see, let me show you guys my seasoning array. So these are my seasonings, kind of have how I have them set up right now. Let me make sure you guys can see. Yep, you guys can see. And they're kind of like on this like little tempered stir-up deal. So the plan is that when I get ready to move into the new house, they had an option to put in a spice rack like in between the cooktop, but I opted not to do that because I just kind of felt like, what sense does that make? I mean, there's plenty of like storage solutions, and plus the builder wanted like, oh y'all, take a look at these chops. Here, let me show you. Y'all got to see these chops. Look at that golden brown. And this is the other side of it. Not quite ready just yet. I'm going to let it cook a little bit longer, but it's almost pretty much done. So I'm going to go ahead and get my, oh yeah, that's good. Nice and brown. Look at that. See? So I'm going to go ahead and get my little pan together so I can let the grease absorb from that. Let me see what I'm going to use tonight. So I have all of these little plastic containers from like various places where we've eaten. Oh, the top's missing. And this is kind of what I use like to put everything in like once it's done cooking. So I'm going to take some paper towels and I'm going to layer the paper towels down so that it soaks up the grease. And I'll put this off to the side. Go ahead and get these put up. Yeah, that looks really, really good. Oh yeah, nice and golden brown. I'm going to go ahead, let me grab one of my plastic bags, or not plastic bags, one of my little plastic gloves, so that way I don't have to touch the meat. Move this over here. Get these floured up. I went out and bought me some fresh flour because I noticed the last time that I fried these, the flour didn't seem to stick well to the meat, and that's an indicator that your flour could be old. So I just went ahead and went up to Publix and got some fresh flour. Yeah, I should be able to get at least 2 more on here. Yeah, it's really recommended that you use a glove on your hand when you're handling meat. Back in the day, I normally, because when my mom cooked and how I learned how to cook, we ain't do all that. You touched, you pretty much touched everything. No, it didn't matter. But I understand, like obviously if I was cooking for like a lot of people, I definitely would do it. But since it's just me and my daughter, you know, and I'm kind of really doing it for the most part because I'm kind of videotaping what I'm doing. So I think I can get this one on here. Yeah. So that way I only got one left. Rinse my hands off. So I only got one left. I'm going to take this off. And really all you got to do with the squash and the zucchini is just kind of stir it. Cover that up. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar. And you kind of, throughout the cooking process, you want to add the sugar. And primarily the reason, like I said earlier, the reason for that is because the squash is, you know, relatively bitter. And what this does is it kind of takes the bitterness off of it. It does kind of give it a little bit of a sweet taste. I kind of know how much to add. You know, I've been doing this for a good little bit, so I know how much to add and the frequency to add it so that it doesn't, you know, get too sweet. And that's one of the reasons why you kind of do it like early in the cooking process, so that as it's cooking down off of all that water, it's going to pretty much, you know, do its thing and it's going to cook away. So you don't really have to worry about it really being over sweetened. It's just as long as you're not using like a large measuring spoon to kind of like put that sugar in there, you'll be just fine. And I try to keep everything clean while I'm cooking. I mean, it's never going to be completely clean, but I kind of like to clean as I go. So that way, once everything is done, it's not a whole lot left to do. While everything is kind of doing its thing. So yeah. So, trying to think what topics should I touch on today. So, is anybody planning on doing any holiday meals? I typically, for Thanksgiving, that's normally the one holiday that I actually do cook. I haven't done a turkey before, and primarily because I'm really not a turkey eater. I might get I get my hams from the Honey Baked Ham store. I try to pre-order those early, so that way on the day before Thanksgiving, I get my ham, I get into the store, and I get out, because you guys know that line is going to be wrapped around the building. People picking up, you know, holiday hams. But I really don't have anyone that comes down. My daughters don't only visit on the holidays anyway. They go up to their dads. So it's just going to be me and my daughter more than likely this year, as in past year. So I'll probably just get like a half of a ham. And we'll eat off of it probably for about 5 days, and then depending on how much is left. What I did last time, and I kind of regret doing it, I left the meat on the bone. But I think this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slice all the rest of the meat down to the bone, and then I'll just kind of freeze that bone in the freezer along with those slices of ham, so that way when I want to like maybe cook some collard greens or I'm doing some black eyed peas, I can, you know, take the ham out and throw it in the pot right along with the collard greens or the black eyed peas, and pretty much just, you know, boom, you got dinner. So it makes it a lot easier. Like I said, I still have the ham from last year, so that I need to throw that ham out, which I will, because I pretty much cleaned the refrigerator on Saturday. I didn't get a chance to do the freezer, which the freezer really isn't in bad condition, but I need to take some of those things out and just kind of wipe it down. Excuse me, because now I have my deep freezer, which is in my living room area. I didn't want to put it in the garage. There's no space for it. My big car is in there, and all of these plastic totes, so there's no space for it right now anyway. So for the most part, I am probably going to do the ham. I might get some turkey breast, like a small turkey breast, so that way we got 2 different types of meat. I'm definitely doing dressing. I do cornbread dressing. I don't use stuffing. Now, this is one thing I have not been able to understand about people in Thanksgiving. So I grew up, because I'm from Alabama, I grew up where we would have cornbread dressing, of course. We use bread, white bread, as our stuffing. So basically what my job was when I was little is I was supposed to take all the corners off of the bread, and then I was supposed to pull apart the pieces of the white bread and put those in a container. And then my mom would add that to the cornbread dressing. So after she's put in like her seasonings, her egg, and what else? Oh gosh, I got it in my pantry. I'm trying to think. The chicken broth. So she would take chicken broth and just kind of boil it on the stove, add a little bit of seasoning to it, and then pour that into the cornbread dressing along with the bread, and then put it in the oven and let it bake on like 400 degrees for like about, 30 to 45 minutes. Once it starts, getting golden brown, and then kind of everything to the taste. And that was the one thing that I loved about Thanksgiving when my mom would cook is, as she's cooking, she would have one of us come into the kitchen to taste the food, just to kind of tell her, okay, is it good? Is it missing something? Because, and this is one thing that I learned now that I'm cooking, is that when you're cooking, your taste buds as the cook can kind of be like one-sided. So I typically, will either have my daughter taste test something to kind of get her viewpoint. Does it need some salt? Does it need some pepper? All that good stuff. So, yeah. And I kind of taken that from my mom. But, she would do her cornbread dressing like the morning of. She'd have her sweet potato pies done the morning of. The potato salad would be in the refrigerator like the night before. So that way it's getting chilled. And a lot of times I would help to cut up the celery and the bell pepper, because I use celery and bell pepper in my potato salad, along with, of course, the potatoes. And then pickle relish. And I don't mash the potatoes like up all the way, but I do get them to where it's a nice consistency. I mean, literally, back in the day, we used to have potato salad sandwiches. Okay, that's how good Mama's potato salad is. You can literally make a sandwich out of it. And the best sandwich would be taking some turkey, some slices of cold turkey or ham, and putting them in between that sandwich. Bruh, let me tell you something. That was some good eating, okay? That was some serious good eating. And I'm going to tell you, I miss my mom terribly. She died from leukemia back in 2003. She was diagnosed in July of 2002. Actually, she was diagnosed in May, the same month and the same year that I gave birth to my daughter. She was diagnosed. And, I think her hesitancy about going and getting treatment, she just kind of like magically thought it was going to go away. And it did not. it just got progressively worse. And it was, I think, had gotten to a point where the doctor told her, you know, you got months or days to live. And, you know, it scared her because I remember I was drilling. I was on my 2-week drill in July of 2002. And I came home, or actually, I think I remember her calling me at work, or I had called her or something. And she was like, I need you to come home first before you go get her granddaughters, my daughters, the twins at the time. And then she sat me down and she said, I have leukemia. And at first I was like, okay, you know, because I didn't know what the hell leukemia was. And then she said, I have cancer. And let me tell you, those words, oh my God, they strike you like a knife. When a loved one says they have cancer, I mean, it's unimaginable. And I think right at that very moment, I was confused. And then I was like, okay, well, you know, we gonna do what we gotta do. And then she proceeded to say, oh, I gotta go in the hospital tomorrow. I was like, I beg your pardon? You know, because all in the same time, the very next month, I was going to be starting a brand new job, and I was going to be working at night. So I was dependent on my mom being there to watch my twins. You know, they would be asleep before I had to be at work, because my shift would start at 11 o'clock at night, and then I'd be off by 7 a.m. in the morning, which she would just be getting to work at that time. So the plan would have been, she would get the girls up in the morning when she got up to go to work, and get them dressed, and off to daycare. She could drop them off to daycare on her way to work. That was initially going to be the plan before cancer came into the mix. So, you know, it was rough. You know, it was a rough time period for me because I was balancing, you know, having to take care of my daughters, but then I brought in a family member, my cousin, who decided to come down and help out, and basically she would be there at night, you know, to take care of the girls for me while I went to work. And then I would come home, you know, get them ready for daycare, drop them off. And then I would head, well, actually, before I even came home, I would stop by the hospital to check on my mom, to check in with her doctors, to find out about her care, how she did, you know, what was the next steps in terms of medication and treatment. And for 7 months, you know, she battled it. 4.5 months of those, she was actually in the hospital. And then the last 3 months of her life, you know, I watched her just kind of basically whittle away. I mean, she had dropped so much weight. She was down to, like, I want to say less than 100 pounds in like that 4-month period. Chemotherapy is nothing to play with. And I can attest to that. So, you know, it's rough dealing with it, but it's just something that, you know, you have to band together as a family, you know, to be there for your loved one. And, you know, my mom was the rock of the family. So, she took a turn for the worse the following year, 2003 in January. The cancer had spread to her lymph nodes, so her whole face had swollen, and she literally looked like a chipmunk. That's how much the cancer had invaded her lymph nodes and was spreading throughout the rest of her body. So for that last 30 days of her life, you know, it was spent primarily in the hospital. I remember one day I came to see her, and, you know, she was just like upright, talking like her normal self. And, you know, I thought for a minute that maybe, you know, something had happened with the treatment, that maybe it was working, and, you know, she was going to be able to walk away from this cancer-free. But I think what it was the body in itself naturally starts to prepare itself for the end or the demise. And I think her body was in that process. It allowed her to be able to be coherent for a small amount of time, because I remember the day that I went to pick her up for the hospital, because her last wishes was she wanted to die at home. So I went to go pick her up from the hospital, you know, wanted to get things in place. Her hospice bed was delivered, and I'll never forget, it's like, as soon as I got her home, it's like she started to transition. And, you know, it was really, really hard to see her in that state, but I didn't want her here to be here if she couldn't enjoy life. And you never want that for a family member, especially your mother or your father. And I'm just so grateful to God that He gave me the grace and the mercy to be able to you know, handle things, to be able to make the necessary decisions on her behalf. And as you guys can see in the background, that flag, that was actually draped on her coffin when we laid her to rest. And it has the one of the single casings from her military funeral and everything. She was retired Air Force Reserves and had done 32 years in the Air Force Reserve and 3 years in the United States Army, along with 33 years as a DOD Air Force civilian. So my mom, you know, spent a good portion of her life dedicated to this country, you know, in the support of United States Air Force and Air Force operations. So, you know, I come from a military family. I'm also a veteran myself, so it's bittersweet, you know, but you always, of course, are going to miss your loved ones. But I've gotten to a point, it's been now almost 18 years since she passed away. I think it's going on 19. So, you know, I've dealt with it. You know, I look at it as she's in a better place. And even though I miss having her here, you know, I enjoy the moments that I had with her. And I know that I'm making memories, you know, for my kids in the future. And the things that I'm doing, you know, she can only be proud of, her and my dad, because both my father passed away when I was 15. So, you know, it's just, you know, one of those life things that you have to deal with. And I'm just fortunate to be in a position where my career is going in a good direction. I enjoy what I do, and you know, at the onset, I have a daughter who also elected to go into the Air Force. She's a part of the Space Force out in Vandenberg, California, Jada. And then my other daughter, Brianna, she lives and works in Northern Virginia, in Fredericksburg. So I'm proud of all of them. Even the youngest, even though she gets on my last nerve, you know, but all of them are going to do well. You know, I look forward to whatever their future endeavors are. So, but guys, pretty much these pork chops are just about done. I just turned them over, so let me show you guys what we're working with. There we go. So as you can see, they're nice and golden brown, and I just turned these over. I only got one left, so as soon as I can take up one of these, I'll go ahead and put that one done. The squash, I'm going to give you guys a little bit closer view of the squash. So that's what the squash is looking like. It's going to take some time for that to cook down. And I'll probably add a little bit more, you know, sugar to it throughout the cooking process. Throughout the cooking process. Probably add a little bit of touch of salt too. But yeah, dinner's almost ready. So this video is rather long, so I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy the chit chat and cooking with me videos. And if you like these type of videos from me, like I said, comment below and give me your feedback. And next time, I will talk to you guys later. It's your girl After My Girl 26. Don't forget to like this video and also